everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me once again is Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Congresswoman, thanks so much for coming back on.
Thanks for having me as always, Brittany. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well. And this new year really the news couldn't have been crazier. Over the weekend, there was an operation, U.S. forces led an operation that led to the capture of Venezuelan leader Nicolas Maduro. And all members of the House were briefed yesterday on it by members of the Trump administration. And I do know that briefing was classified, but you can't tell us much probably from what you learned there because it was classified. But what questions did you have when you left the meeting?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you about the concerns that I have following my initial sharing of the elation of my Venezuelan constituents. I expressed support for the action that arrested Maduro, brought him to the United States for accountability, and continue to believe that was the right move. He not only was a narco-terrorist, but he committed crimes against humanity, and we need to make sure that that accountability is real. Unfortunately, my optimism and elation alongside my constituents has started to abate in the days after the capture of Maduro, and that is because there appears to be it appears that there was a tremendous amount of military and intelligence preparation, in an exquisite sense. And we were briefed about that yesterday, more than we had been. Congress was left out of this process, and that we have the constitutional authority to declare war. This was a major military operation. But what is baffling to me is how it was possible that all that planning to capture Maduro occurred, but there appears to have been no plan for the day after. Essentially, we are propping up the cronies of Maduro who helped him oppress the Venezuelan people and engaged in the same narco-terrorism in the regime. The regime remains in charge. I know Donald Trump says he's in charge, and the Secretary of State has indicated that tremendous pressure and leverage is something that we're going to exact to ensure change comes in Venezuela. But there are really no details about that. And even President Trump yesterday said, we will likely be in Venezuela for a long time. That is not what the American people signed up for.
I want to talk about President Trump and the Trump administration's plans, but first, I spoke with one of your colleagues, Congresswoman Mariannette Miller-Meeks, yesterday after the meeting, and she told me she left feeling reassured that there aren't going to be U.S. boots on the ground there. And I know that the Trump administration has characterized that Operation Absolute Resolve as a law enforcement function. But based on what you're saying, you said it was a large-scale military operation. Do you think that there's going to be war? Is this the start of war? Can you definitively say it's not?
Well, I'm not sure how my colleague, Congresswoman Miller-Meeks, came away with that assumption, because that's not what was said. There was no assurance given that we wouldn't have boots on the ground. Donald Trump, since the capture of Maduro, has clearly said that has clearly threatened a second wave if they don't cooperate. My deep concern is that there has been not only no progress for Venezuelans and no light at the end of the tunnel for that progress, but political prisoners hasn't been released. We asked questions yesterday. I asked questions about the timeline for release of political prisoners, for the transition to democracy, even establishing, an outline as to how that will occur. And we have the regime led by Delcy Rodriguez, who has now passed a law and a decree that is cracking down on Venezuelans, searching their cars, searching their cell phones, and trying to make sure that they can hold accountable people who they believe supported the capture of Maduro or are promoting it. That's making life seems to have gotten worse, not better, for Venezuelans.